Welcome to Staying Uncomfortable. My name is Kaivan. In this episode, I actually had an opportunity to sit down with Adrian, who's the CEO of FOAP, and we talked about making some tough decisions when it comes to your business, and overall, how do you actually be okay with making those decisions, knowing it's impacting somebody's life, it's impacting your company, and it's impacting everyone around you. It was very, very tough conversation to have with Adrian, but I hope that you learn something when it comes to decision making and how it can help you achieve whatever you're looking to chase in your life. Enjoy the show. So Adrian, how did you get to Poland, and how did you become part of FOAP and become the CEO of FOAP?
Actually, it's quite an interesting story, I think. First of all, I've been an investor of FOAP, so I've been investing in the company.
Okay.
Then at one stage, they got me in the board of FOAP. So I was an investor, then I got into the board of FOAP. And at one stage, we saw that the company is not going in the right direction anymore. And what did this mean for the board? It was actually what we spoke before. It was about taking decisions. We had to take a decision that was really hard, but we knew if we don't take that decision, this company will be gone and all the employees will also be gone. So what we had to do is we had to basically fire the founder of FOAP.
I'm going to stop you there for a second, because that's a very, very interesting point. And how did you feel at that point when you had to make that decision? Because the reason why I'm asking is that is someone who's put in their blood and their sweat and like really, really had a vision for it, right? And making that decision must have been like extremely, extremely difficult for you.
I have to say it was an extremely tough decision, especially since I knew the guy as well. I mean, we got along quite well, or we got along actually really well, and I really liked him as a guy. But then again, seriously, in that moment, we just thought that if we don't take this decision, this FOAP will be gone. And I think, again, it was not about the main decision why we took it. It was not about our money, but it was really more about that this whole FOAP is just gone and all the employees that are working there are also gone. So it made the decision a little bit more easier. And also, I thought that, he had so many chances, and he was too selfish sometimes. He was just too selfish, and he really didn't think for all the others, but he thought more about himself. And that made it for me a little bit easier, because I told myself, listen, he's been so selfish. So now we don't have to feel bad to take this decision. He should feel bad that he actually did this before.
Do you think there's a part of ego that plays into this character, as well as someone who's leading the company and someone, not looking out for your teammates, right? Like,
I think for him it was definitely a bit. It was definitely a problem that he was quite. He was more looking about his personal, his personal achievements, and he saw himself as one of these guys from a very, very successful company. But he didn't. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't care, but it's just the way he acted.
Came off different from other people. Everybody's got a different point of view, right? So.
Yes. And the more we spoke about this later, I mean, with all the people, they told me, listen, this was exactly the way he was acting. So you don't have to feel bad that you took this decision, and we actually agree on. And I mean, once we took that decision and they asked me to become the CEO of FOAP, I was first like, okay, this guy he's gonna hate me, and he's even gonna maybe hit me or whatever, because as he said, like he put so much, so much work and so much effort and everything in this. And now I come, and it seemed like there was a plan from the beginning that we wanted to push him away, and it was planned from a long time, but that was not how it was at all. It was really a decision that we had to take
to move forward.
Yeah, to move forward. And I remember the first time I was speaking in front of all the people, like I told him as well, listen, I know this is a big change, and you probably you don't like me because I took the guy away that you kind of liked. But every change is also an opportunity, and I can tell you that you can trust me, and I know that trust only comes with time. And I think now I'm there for about a year, and I think people trust me now, because I showed them that I don't care only about myself, I care about the company, and that's all it matters.
Got it. So the one biggest thing is we have to ask is, what does FOAP do? And why are you in business with FOAP?
Well, basically what we do is we do crowdsourced photo shoots.
Okay.
And what we're specialized in is if, for example, a brand like Coca-Cola is looking for really customized branded or non-branded pictures, we basically we share it with our community, and we have about 2 million photographers. So they give us exactly the terms and conditions. They give us a sample picture, and we share it with the community, and the community exactly uploads these pictures. So instead of that Coca-Cola hires 1 or 2 photographers, they get 2 million photographers, and these photographers, they have completely different views. They have different different
direction.
Different. They just, and they bring also their ideas, etc. in it. So that's actually what we do, and we can make it. Of course, for Coca-Cola, we deliver them authentic pictures, like real pictures, and again, it's from many different photographers. So. And we do it much cheaper as well. So I think that's this like quite a genius idea, this crowdsourced photo shoots.
And I'm assuming, since it's 2 million people, I'm assuming you have people from around the world and
actually from all around the world.
Wow.
And I mean, it's amazing how sometimes, because not many of them actually earned money with this, but they keep on going, and like sometimes the pictures they do, like you see the effort they put in these pictures, it's amazing. It's seriously amazing. And they keep on going for like 3-4 years. So we even started building relations with some of these photographers, and it's amazing to see how they like it, and they also see it as a hobby, as a challenge. And of course they also want to earn money, but that's not their main ambition sometimes.
So they don't do it they don't do it for the money reasons. They do it because of out of the passion, and they really want to challenge themselves and being able to win a contest or something along those lines.
I think it's more about this. I mean, if you ask them, many of them will tell you they do it out of money, but then if you really see the numbers, it shows a completely different picture, to be honest. So I believe it's more the passion than the money.
Got it.
And maybe of course, if they sell a picture, it's like, wow, it's really cool. But then again, it's not about the actual money they get. It's more about, hey, I sold a picture. And and it's amazing. And I mean, we've never invested any money in marketing so far, so everything we've achieved was with organic growth, and we're still like growing every month. I mean, it's a slow growth, but it's a growth, and I think that's also something that we can be quite proud of. And I mean, the whole photo stock market, it's extremely competitive.
Yeah.
So we really have to like find our niche there and push hard and go out there and speak to people and try to find new enterprises, etc. So it's not an easy market, but there's still like this niche is still there.
One of the things that I'm always curious to know is when it comes to decisions making, right? A lot of times people hesitate and aren't able to make decisions, and therefore they're usually stuck in a situation where it's constantly battling in their mind about, should I do this? Should I not do this? And as a CEO of FOAP, how do you overcome when you have, when you're responsible for 25 to 30 people, and every single decisions that you make can impact somebody else's life?
Like every decision that you take or that you have to take is basically combined with a change. And people don't like change because they're kind of in their comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And every time they have to take a decision, they have to get out of there. I think that's what makes them hesitate. And of course, what I try to do as a CEO is always to tell them, listen, if we don't take a decision, we're going to stay where we are, and where we are is not where we want to be, because if we don't improve, we will not get where we want to finally be. So this is always my justification why we have to take decisions. And I know it from myself personally how hard it is to take decisions, and because you always think afterwards, well, was it the right decision, was it the wrong decision? But if you don't take any decision, you will never find out if it was wrong or right. So that's one of the points I would say.
Got it. But when you make decisions, right? So like when at certain times when I make decisions, it feels like, do I need to worry about other people, or do I need to be selfish and make decisions for myself, right? I think that's an interesting point, because as humans, we're trained to look out for ourselves. Our brains are always, how do you survive in this world, right? How do you live and how do you move forward? But when you're in a situation like that, now do you make decisions based off being, selfishness, or do you make based off the bigger impact that can cause?
I think I definitely don't take selfish decisions. I'll take the one that have like the bigger impact. But at the same time, I always like what I always ask myself is it good for the enterprise or is it not good for the enterprise? Because if it's not good for the enterprise, it finally is not good for anybody, because everybody who works for the company, for the enterprise, finally profits if we go the right way. So sometimes maybe these decisions are a bit selfish, but if I think about it in the long run, they're actually not selfish at all. Because maybe I hurt 3, 4, 5 people, but for the other 20, I make a favor. And this is sometimes really, really hard, especially since you know that, as you said, it's not only on a business level, but it's on a personal level. And if you work with 25 people, it's not like working with 300 people, so you know everybody like really well. And of course, it hurts yourself sometimes really hard. And I have to fight with this because, yeah, it's really tough.
Let me ask this, because I love what you just said, is that hurting 3 to 4 people, their feelings, right? How do you deal with it? Because, you know, we're always constantly worried that how people are going to judge us, or when we're not in front of them, how are they going to talk? What are they going to say about us, right? As humans, we're constantly, like, I'm constantly thinking, what are you thinking of me, and what Andrew's thinking of me, everybody, right? How do you overcome that? I think that is the biggest point in our life in this world right now, that people are so afraid of what other people are going to think. But you said you make decisions thinking the long-term outcome, thinking the more beneficial of the company, right? But how do you get over those people that you're going to hurt?
I mean, I completely agree with you that I think it's really like this. You always think what everybody else thinks about you. I think when I look back in my, let's call it career, I think I've changed quite a bit when it comes to this. And maybe it's also experience, it's getting older. I think I just care much less what the other people say, because I know it doesn't help you, because if, I don't know, you have to be yourself, and if you always look what everybody else thinks, you're not yourself. And I think that's one of the key points here. But of course it's still hard, and of course I still do it, but I don't care that much anymore. I really don't.
So you moved on to the phase where what other people thinks of you, right?
Yeah, it's more like if I hurt somebody, of course that's something I think of much more, but not because of what would she think or her or him think about me. It's more just what is the impact for him. That's what I think. Like what are my decisions, are his impacts on his personal or her personal life, and that's more what I think, but not if he or she thinks I'm a cool guy.
Got it.
Because I think that's just not the way how you can think as a CEO. Maybe in your personal life, of course, but not as a CEO, because you don't get where you want to get.
You were born in Switzerland, right? And earlier we touched upon this, that when you think about Switzerland, right, it's like a luxury, bubbly place, and you personally have lived in different countries as well, and now you're in Poland. And in my mind, I'm just thinking, right, like I came from India not knowing how to speak English, and Switzerland, I think, is what, Germany, or is it English as well, both of the languages?
No, basically it's we speak Swiss German, so it's kind of a German dialect, but we also speak French, Italian, and there's even a 4th dialect called Rätoromanisch. There's like 4 languages in a really small country, so that's definitely one really amazing thing about Switzerland, I have to say.
So how did you go from being in Switzerland and then traveling in, and now ended up being in Poland and being able to adopt and adjust in this whole entire, what we call, universe, right? Because I don't think a lot of people would be able to, because it was so hard for me learning English as a second language, that I want to hear your perspective on how do you adopt and how do you, continue to grow and challenge yourself.
I mean, first of all, I think in Switzerland, you're like, if you live there, it's kind of a perfect life. I mean, everything is perfect and you can just stay there, but as you said, you're in a bubble and you don't get out of the comfort zone. And there's so many people that just are there and they just live this life and they don't get out of the comfort zone. And what keeps me actually going and motivating is getting out of this comfort zone and see different stuff and face new challenges. And I think when you go to a country like Poland, it's definitely, for me, there's so many different things that are not so perfect as they are in Switzerland. So it gives me a lot of challenges, and it brings me I can integrate what I learned and what I see in Switzerland. I can try to integrate it in Poland, and you have so many more opportunities and chances, and people, of course, think a bit differently. And I think that's just the challenge what keeps me going and what helps me to kind of integrate there and to to keep going.
Do you ever feel like, man, it's enough now? I'm like getting exhausted and getting tired. And when that happens, right, how do you push yourself? Because, right, it's not just about you. It's about, obviously in your personal life, it's about you, but also in your professional life, you have 25 people, right? 25 to 30 people that rely on you. So I'm sure there's time where you're like, oh man, can I just sleep for 24 hours? Can I just take a break?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely times that are like this. But it's exactly what you mentioned before. I think in these times, I just tell myself, listen, you have 25 people that are really dependent on you. And if you stop and if you're not pushing anymore and if you're not motivated anymore, they're kind of screwed. And this is really what the motivation for me is again. Because if it would be only about myself, I would probably have quit it many times before. And I mean, I have to say here, I had businesses before. Some of them were successful. Others I completely screwed up. But I think one point that I'm strong in and that I'm kind of proud is I can run against the wall 500 times, but I'll get up and I run probably 501 time against this wall. But I want to keep going because I hate to lose, first of all. And I have this challenge and I want to go and go and go. And one of the things that motivates me is also showing perspective to these employees and make them motivated and be like, if you don't have them behind you, you're screwed. You can have the best idea, but if you don't have a team behind you that supports you and that is with you, you lose. That's no like it's just clear. And I always try to compare it with sports because it's a bit the same in sports. You can have the really good coach. If you don't have the good players, you're screwed. But if you only have a couple good players that don't play together, you're screwed as well. So you just need a good mix, and you need to kind of motivate them, but at the same time you need to be strict and need to be their friend. It's like, I don't know, it's really hard sometimes. It's
team
like
dynamic,
a balance.
right?
Yeah.
I think team dynamic is what people tend to work very well. Once you have that team dynamic, you're able to challenge each other. You're able to help each other grow and give feedback and criticism as well. That hey, you're not. And I think that's also very important that you surround yourself with people like that, right? So that leads me to my next question here: is that in terms of when it comes to moving forward and thinking about just where you want to do in life, personally and professionally. Have you ever sat down and thought about like what's your purpose and what you want to accomplish in life? Because I think at the end of the day, right, we've only given certain years in this lifetime, and a lot of people just tend to, I feel like, just settle and let the life go by and live off a template. And I want to know if you had an opportunity to take some time for yourself and see, really be like, this is what I want to do in life, and here's what my dream is, and here's what I'm going to pursue.
Honestly, I always told myself, if I ever go like away from this world, I want people to remember me for something. And what I said is, I want to be first. I want to try to be as successful as possible, make a lot of money, but then give it back in a way. And when I mean give it back in a way, first of all, of course, I want to have like family, but then I really want to be like, because again, it comes back to, I'm so privileged to be grown up in Switzerland. It's probably one of the richest country in the world. You don't have many troubles there. And I really feel I want to give something back, and kind of in a social way. How exactly this should look like, I don't know, but I really told myself, listen, at one time you stop trying to get more money and become rich and whatever, and then you really spend that money to help other people and to, because I mean, if you look at the world today, there's so much shit going on here.
Oh, yeah.
And like what I care or what I have to care daily, if I think about the real problems, then it's just nonsense. So I tell myself, listen, but that you're able to help these people, you first need to get to a certain level where you actually have the power.
One of the things that I always challenge myself is how do I strive to become better? And based on the previous conversation that we were having, is that give back to the community, right? Do you think the only way you're able to give back to communities by monetary, or do you think there's other ways that as humans that we can give back to the community and to this world as well, right? Because I think it's not just the money, right? I think you can spend time, you can go help a homeless person, you can give them food, right? How come more people aren't doing it?
That's actually a really good question. But I mean, maybe I have to be more precise here. What I said before was definitely more not just giving money,
Yeah.
but really go there and help, and also see it again what you can actually change and how you can help. But it's a good question why people don't help more, because probably they're too selfish, and everybody has its own problem, his own problem, and I see it for myself. Sometimes you completely forget about this whole shit around, and you only have your bubble, and you only care about your stuff. But then, best example here, if I walk through Chicago, I worry so much about myself, but then I keep seeing these people like on the pavement, like having nothing, and seriously, every time it reminds me again, like how fucking, how lucky I am, and how lucky we are.
But then, sometimes I ask myself this question as well, like, is it the decisions that they've made throughout their life has got them to that point, and is it as a humans in this community, is it our job to kind of help them get back up, or do you see what I'm saying? Because it's difficult sometimes, because you know that you're going to give someone money, right? And you know the next thing they're going to go out is go and buy cigarettes and alcohol, right? So do you support that, or do you actually find organization that helps people, right? I always constantly battle with this, because I would love to. So downstairs, as soon as you walk out, there's a guy in my building, right? He's always there, and I love to know, like, how can I help him? But at the same time, I see him smoking cigarettes. At the same time, I see him drinking alcohol. But I don't think that makes him a bad person. But I don't know. I always like fight with that thought process in my head, because I do want to help him. I do be like, hey, come upstairs and shower at my place, because I live by myself. I don't have anybody, right? But there's some hesitation in my mind, because of it's his decisions that has gotten there, right?
Yeah, on the one hand, maybe you're right, but then at the same time, I'm not so sure if everybody of these guys who are down there, if it was because of their decision, or if if they were really unlucky in life. I think sometimes it doesn't take that much if you're unlucky and you don't have like the social life around you. I think it can go quite quickly, and you're somewhere like really, really down there, and it's really hard to get out there again. I'm sure there's many of them who took decisions, and it's basically their own mistake, but I'm sure that many of them were just really, really unlucky. And of course, you're right, sometimes it's really stupid to give them money, because they just go and drink, but then again, I have to say, like, okay, if it makes him feel better to go and drink, at least I gave him something, and I gave him pleasure, and he's not going to get out of there anymore anyways, but maybe just the time he's spending there, it makes it better for him.
You're running a company, right? Mm-hmm. You're working with Fortune 500 companies here in the States, and you're out living in Poland, and you're constantly traveling, right? I'm assuming, and then you also have your personal life. How do you balance everything out?
Well, I have to say at the moment the balance is really, really bad. I have to really say this, because usually I don't have to take decisions in my personal life, because at the moment there is no personal life. I really so that makes it a bit easier, because I have to say, when it comes to my personal life and taking decisions there, I suck quite a bit. It's much harder for me to take personal decisions than taking decisions in FOAP or in just any enterprise. So I cannot really answer that question at the moment, I have to say. I know, like, people always say that you have to have the balance, and I feel you really do have to have the balance, because at one stage it's just really too much, and you're just gonna hit like the big wall, and you just don't stand up anymore, and that doesn't help anybody either. So that's definitely one thing I need to work on, and many people tell me, but I can just not, I cannot shut down. I can just not. I'm really, really bad in this.
What's that one mechanism that keeps you driving? Like, that just keeps you, like you said, like, balance that, I can still get up and keep going, but like, what is that one mechanism in your brain? So in my brain, right, when I think about like giving up some time, it's always like, no, you gotta achieve greatness. You want to leave a name for yourself. You want to do something for this world so people remember you, right? And I won't stop until I get to that level. But like, for you, like, what is that mechanism that keeps you triggered and like pushes you to the limit?
I think for me, it's more like my personal, something that I always tell me, I don't want to give up. And every time, if I can still move and go, that tells me, hey, you can still go. So you cannot give up. It's just this constant of saying, hey, like, you push yourself, and you just say, hey, you're not there yet. You still have enough power, so just don't give up. And I was always like, no matter if it was in sports or in my personal life, I hated to give up, and I could not understand people who just said, when there is the first bridge they had to pass that was a little bit harder, and they were like, no, I don't want to take it because it makes some like of course, it's not always the easiest way, and I could never understand these people. And in my life, I think I took many times. I took a way that it could have been way easier, but I don't know. It doesn't give me anything if I just go the easiest way.
But I can assure you, right, that now you look back and you're like, the hardest thing that you've done has got to where you are, right? So like, do you have any personal stories that you would want to talk about where, you know, there are certain decisions that you were like, man, I don't know if this is the right decisions, but I'm going to do this and kind of lead you to kind of where you are today, or in terms of personal growth for somebody who's listening to or watching this?
I mean, I think to be honest, I screwed up quite a few personal relations, because I always had this whole, I don't know, this constantly want to achieve something, and this constantly challenging. And this was just the people on my side that were just not able to take it anymore at one stage, because they were always at second or third or fourth or even last can I say it,
like,
you know, I didn't take care of them, because they were always, it was always something with the company that was more important. And I'm not sure if this I would do the same now, because I have. Maybe I regret this a little bit now that I've become older, and that I'm like, you know what, everything was so perfect, but just because you were not, I don't know, you always needed to achieve more and more. And then at one stage I'm always, or I think, is it really this that you need to get, like always more and more and more, or can you not just be happy with what you have? Because basically what you have, it's incredible.
You're 100% right, because I see my brother. I love my brother to death, right? And my brother is very happy with what he has. Him and his wife both have a nice corporate job. They have 2 kids, and he's very, very happy. And I see the things that he's able to do. Like, the guy is brilliant, like when it comes to technology, but there's no desire. He's happy with where it is, right? But my question always to him is like, why though? Why? And I don't know the answer to that, because I feel like, I think and this is just my personal take on it, is that when you're born, I feel like you either create this mindset that, you know, I'm always going to go after more and more and more, or you have that mindset of, hey, I'm going to stay happy and just be okay with what I have.
Yeah, but I have to say, like, at one stage I really admire these people who can do this, because maybe they enjoy life much more than I do. I don't know, because they're happy with what they have. And I mean, at one stage I cannot understand them, because I said, like, I constantly need this challenge, and I cannot understand how they can be in this bubble and just live. But at the same time, they're so happy and they can enjoy themselves, and they probably have like 10 times less problem than I do.
And a lot more stress, less stress, I would say.
And less stress. And I don't know, so I really admire them, but at the same time, I could never be like this. So for me, it's like, sometimes I have this fight inside me, that there's one person who just wants to settle down and be exactly like this guy, and just be able to relax and maybe go kite surfing for 3 months and just be happy and relax and read books every day and just like be really like this. Sometimes it tears me apart a bit inside me.
Man.
Because there's the 2 directions, and so far I always went one direction. And I know this one is actually the stronger direction. And maybe at one stage it shifts a bit.
So I'm going to end with just one last question here. So the show is about staying uncomfortable, right? For me is when you're uncomfortable, you're experiencing more life, because you're learning new things. And as humans, what connect us is experiences, right? Because we're able to talk about this, like you and I connected over an experience, right? There's so many people in life that are going through so much things, and we don't usually take time to support one another. And I know how hard it is, because I've gone through it, and where I was, it was not a good place. And you have such an amazing experience where you traveled the world, you are leading a company. What is that, you know, one piece of advice that if you were to give somebody who's watching this, that, you know, and they're going through such a bad time in their life, what is that one thing that you would want to give them?
I think at the end of the day, and maybe it sounds a bit cheesy, but I think you really, you should never give up, and you really should always push yourself, because I think I'm not a stupid guy for sure, but I'm also not the most intelligent guy. And I think I just try to get everything out of myself, and I think many people have actually so much more, and they could do so much better, but they don't really believe in it. And I think they should just never give up and really try to get most out of them what they can.
So believe in yourself.
Yeah, believe in yourself and don't be afraid, maybe, because many people are also afraid, and it comes back to what you said at the beginning. They're also always afraid of what other people think, and I think that this is what keeps them basically not taking the risk. So sometimes take risk in life and just go.
Believe
and like
in yourself.
every day, basically, you can, and that's also like everything that's past, it's history. But every morning you get up, it's a new day, and you can basically change everything. I mean, of course, you have your, you have some certain amount of money, etc. And not everybody has the same, but you can basically change it every day. And if you don't like what you do, you can try to change it.
Perfect.
And don't accept it. Just try to change it and make something that you like.
Perfect. Stay tuned. We'll have more guests coming up next episode as well. This show is all about bringing on people who have achieved greatness by experiencing more life. And the way you experience more life is by staying uncomfortable. So don't ever give up, believe in yourself, and stay uncomfortable.